Hello everyone, this is the Elgin S702 presentation, which is a wide accent discrimination group final project presentation. Our group members is Guido, Pengyu, Chen, and Chang, which is me. So let's start.
Our credible project addresses the very particular issue of accent discrimination faced by a particular segment of the TIO employees, which are the cultural and linguistic diverse people. This kind of discrimination, this form of bias, is not also common, but it's very, very normalized during interactions between staff and clients. This situation generates that many culturally and linguistically diverse workers, they experience discrimination comments because of their accent, which basically has a repercussion, negative ones, in regards of the professional performance and also in regards of emotional well-being. This issue is super important because it reflects structural inequalities between not just society but also the workplace. While the telecommunications industry ombudsman provides some kind of anti-racism trainings and modules, this is not sufficient. Our project basically responds by creating inclusive educational materials in the form of posters and comics. The purpose of this is to raise awareness and support and as in regards to a safer, fairer working environment. What is important here is that our work is supported by an ethical obligation of the telecommunications industry ombudsman before the Equal Opportunity Act, and also other goals regarding social justice and workplace dignity.
Yes, thank you. So the second part.
Now that we will introduce the issue of accent discrimination in our project, I'd like to walk you through how our works made the credible framework. Firstly, our project directly responds to the real-world issue of accent-based discrimination experienced by CAUD staff within the TIO. It addresses the local workplace challenge grounded in the cultural diversity of Australian workforce. And then, the goal is not only theoretical. We aim to develop visual and educational materials such as comics and posters, which can promote respectful communication and reduce bias in client interactions. And then we actively collaborated with TIO employees and service specialists such as Fiona Mundy, who contributed feedback and insights based on her professional experience. And then the comic script was inspired by real experiences of staff. We incorporated Australian league frameworks like Racial Discrimination Act and workplace norms to ensure local relevance. And then we designed materials based on applied linguistics, organizational psychology, and human rights education, combining disciplinary insights to develop meaningful interventions. Our materials aim to protect vulnerable employees, raise client awareness, and contribute to safer workplace environments. And then by focusing on accent discrimination, which is often under-addressed, our project helps start a conversation about how to make workplaces fairer for everyone, especially CAUD employees. Finally, we follow the ethical principles by respecting people's privacy, showing empathy, and focusing on human rights, not just data collecting. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. And here's the material we designed. It needs to mention that all the materials developed to meet the requirements of the 702. And yeah, under the supervision of the Sunny Boy. And you can see this is basically a comic and a poster we designed. For the comic, you can see this is named as the adventure of the Mr. Maria Strawberry and the telecommunication industry ombudsman, TIO. So, which is tells the story of the TIO staff member, like this Miss Maria Strawberry, who receive a phone call from an angry customer, the McDonald's. So at the beginning, the McDonald's says no. You can see that says no because he thinks Miss Strawberry can understand him. Through a calm and respectful conversation, like this one, Maria explains that many TL employees come from the different cultural backgrounds and that accent discrimination is unacceptable. And the company also has some zero tolerance policy. So, which leads to the McDonald understand and realize his mistake and apologize. So, our comic is designed with bright fruit-based characters and making the topic like more accessible for the people. It's easy to understand. As a metaphor, like the fruits from different farms, shows that people from different country, which is also easy to understand, is CLD identity. And we give a very clear message that discrimination, no one's ever win. The whole comic is tell about this point. So it's clear and it's easy to understand. The second we designed is this anti-discrimination poster. And we designed with bold, zero tolerance workplace poster that clearly states that TL's position. Like at TLO, we do not tolerate any kind of discrimination against our staff. And this basically includes a strong call to action and highlights the core values: fairness, integrity, excellence, collaboration. And the layout uses high contrast colors, the navy blue and yellow, orange, to attract attention, and is suitable for public display, no matter in the TIO office or just on the streets. So this is kind of like promote respectful communication, raise awareness of exit-based discrimination, encourage more people to join. And the fourth part, literature analysis. Guido.
Okay, it's important to understand that our project is not just following one school of research or anything like that, but it's informed by interdisciplinary theories and real-world research in order to help us to understand accent-based discrimination from both social and institutional perspectives. The first one is the critical race theory. Basically, the critical race theory talks about discrimination not just an individual bias, but as a structural problem that happens not just in society, but it's reflected in different kinds of institutions. In our context, the cultural and linguistic diverse people from the staff at the TIO is facing systemic challenges in two forms. First, in regards of difficult telephone communication with consumers and customers, because some of them, they don't behave the way they should, but at the same time, from the organization itself, because the organization disregards this kind of situation, and basically what is happening is try to ignore the whole situation. The second element is about neoliberalism. This is very, very important because there is a lot of research in Australia that sees that workplaces have a point of view, from a neoliberal point of view, that basically prioritize efficiency over fairness, and basically creates values all around that, with the perspective that the customer is always right. They see clients as customers, not people that need help, and because they are customers, they want to keep them happy. The third element is about white privilege. This one is super important because what's happened is that in Australia, at the federal and state governments, the word discrimination, racism, it's very, very strong. Doesn't produce political dividends, and because of that, they try not to address this kind of discussions. They try to avoid this. This can be reflected at the TIO because the TIO produced some discrimination modules that they are insufficient because they only are focused from the perspective of the staff towards the clients, but not vice versa. And this is a serious issue. The fourth element is social representation theory. And basically, this theory says how dominant language ideologies shape public perceptions and accents. In this context, language is not neutral, basically reflects and reinforces power situations and relationships. What is important here in regards of this line of study is that acknowledges that social representation and the language per se, it's flexible and prone to change. And in that way, introducing these kind of changes from our project, it most likely is going to provide positive results. Finally, positive discourse analysis. This one is very, very important because this view can normalize inclusive speech and empower marginalized voices. What is important here is to address the difficulties by their name, and in our context, we implemented friendly characters of the comic and fruit metaphors to introduce very serious and difficult issues like discrimination, racism, in a very soft yet powerful way. These frameworks are going to give us a foundation for our materials, that they're going to raise awareness and produce solutions through educational design.
Yeah, thank you. So here is the positive discourse analysis we used in our program. So to make our materials, we analyze many of other successful materials and do the PDA analysis on it. You can see this is the three main material we analyzed. Like the first is a fact sheet. It's a web-based resource by Anti-Discrimination New South Wales. Use the calm visual tones and the Aboriginal symbols like the turtles, like the shells. The language is simple and easy to understand, make the fact sheet accessible to the public. And we adopt similar visual calmness in our own materials, especially in our workplace posters, which use plain, non-threatening English. And the second one, like this, is digital arts, who featuring like comic style visual. Use some bold words like decolonize and simple protest, like this fist, microphone, this flag. All this is mean make the voice be heard. Like this inspired us to use the comic strip, storytelling, and fruit characters. It can engage emotionally and easy to understand. The third one is a poster. This is a public wireless poster from the UK's NHS. Use high contrast design, like this black, yellow, white, this capital letters, this firm language to declare zero tolerance stance against discrimination in healthcare settings. So we brought this in our posters. We also use the strong tones and visual authority to show the message of our anti-racism. We clearly show the statement that TIO have. So this stuff teaches us focus not only on resisting the bad words, the negative discourse, but focus more on positive discourse and design some positive discourse to teach people, to let people know. And about the material developing process, this is a long process. This is only a part of files you can see on screen, and this is only a part of the apps and tools that we use to design our materials. So basically, these have some stage like, first is story design, the text design. We need to do some narrative stuff. The central message in our comic is anti-accent discrimination and respectful solutions. So we inspire people by some real-world experience to create this stuff. And our visual design is the second stage. Once the story now is drafted, we move on visual design, like the full characters, the symbolic accents, the coloring. Everything is to show diversity without using racial markers. So this is, I think, the most important one. And the stage 3 is stakeholders and teachers' feedback. We received a lot of feedback during this process from the collaborators, stakeholders, teachers. Like the Fiona, our company's collaborator, provide feedback on the tones. Also shows to Sunny Boy, who emphasized we should improve the visual consistency and overall readability. So his advice helped us to design the style and layout. And for the poster, basically same process. So we referred to use these TIO guidelines to design posters, to show this tone, to show all the information we want to say. And the improvement, we still need to improvement. This is not the end. Both these materials go through many runs of changes. We keep moving on and to make it more match the credible principles. And yeah, basically like this.
Okay, now about the implementation. We have a conversation with the TIO. Basically, it's important to understand that the staff is it's important to understand that the culturally and linguistically diverse staff is 1/3 of the whole organization. We talk to these people, and some staff appreciate the story base of the comic. Others wanted a more straightforward comments in regards of discrimination. They thought that the whole thing could be more direct. It's important to understand as well that this community found the fruit metaphor to be respectful and easy to understand. Now, in regards of stakeholders, we have communications with Fiona Mundy. She's the complaint manager of the organization, and she appreciates a lot the empathetic tone of the comic, and she suggested that the poster could be served as a strong internal message. One of the things that she really liked is that from stage 1 of the draft of the comic, which was not so good, to the final one, and she thought that it was quite professional. In regards of future implementations of the project, basically it's important to understand that this organization is highly bureaucratic, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to officially submit our proposal of our materials, so they're going to be able to be used on the website. Also, it can be used, especially the comic, through the company email and social media to all staff and also clients. One important space in regards of the future is that we may explore collaboration with the Victoria Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission in regards of using these materials, not just at the TIO, but other ombudsman schemes in the country. Finally, in regards of our project, one of the good things about the project, it was clear, and the goal was to address accent discrimination, and the perspective of using a comic, a few characters, and the dialogue. It was very well perceived and achieved the purpose to talk about a difficult issue with a very non-threatened method. We received a great feedback from Fiona Mundy, but especially from Professor Sonny Boy. He was very proactive in regards of our designs, and he helped us a lot in regards of that. What can be improved in the future? The time management was difficult because we needed to receive feedback and make changes quite rapidly, because the materials needed to be improved and sometimes redesigned where needed. We still need to redefine our distribution strategy, include how best to share material across the website, social media, and public spaces.
So here basically all the stuff of our presentation, and this is the references of our material design part, and about the problem finding parts, the academic sources like this, and this is the websites and part of the academic resource. Thank you for listening.